Hello, my dears. Daniela here, and welcome to another episode of the Spa Marketing Made Easy podcast. This episode is brought to you by Addo Aesthetics, the #1 coaching company for spa industry professionals wanting to step into the role of spa CEO. And this week, we're diving even deeper into one of my very favorite topics, mindset. So back in October, I was at a conference and Christine was speaking. She was so open and so vulnerable, and she had really been through some very, very tough things. Yet she had also accomplished some really huge things like getting into Harvard. She credits mindset for being able to grow through those really challenging times and turn them into opportunities. So I wanted to invite her on the show to share her story with you in the hopes that if you're in a challenging season of life, you can take some inspiration from her story. And if nothing else, remember that this is just a season, okay? Every day is a new day. It's a great mantra that helped me quite a bit with my mindset when I was in a really challenging time. So let me do a quick read of her bio, and then we will jump right into the episode. Christine Seibold is an author, community founder, and business and mindset coach. In September 2018, she had enough of the corporate lifestyle and left her job at Harvard University to move across the country and open her own business in Miami, Florida. Today, she helps female virtual assistants leave their 9-to-5 jobs and start their own businesses, which is truly exciting and satisfying work. She also serves as a business and mindset coach in a couple of group programs, as well as with her own clients. In January of 2020, she founded a women's entrepreneur group in Seville, Spain called I'm going to butcher this word. Forgive me for anyone that speaks Spanish. Femprendedoras. Okay. Please, my Spanish-speaking friends, tell me how to pronounce that correctly. All right. So since opening Freelance N Freedom, she has been able to visit many new countries to add to her 60 total that she has visited. While working for herself has been challenging at times, it allows her to pursue her goals and truly live a life of freedom that she has always desired while helping other women pursue their goals, which is very rewarding. So I hope you enjoy this episode, and I'll catch you next week. All right, Christine, I'm so excited to have you here on the Spa Marketing Made Easy podcast. I heard you talking at a conference. I was like, oh my gosh, this woman knows how to respond and not react. And which for me is like a really big, important thing in mindset, right? Is like, we tend to want to react to that negative review or react to something instead of actually like feeling it and like dissecting what is this and how do I want to choose to respond. Yes. And I feel like you were so good at that. And you are now really teaching this to other women. Maybe men too. Do you teach to men too?
I do, actually.
Okay.
I have a couple of clients that are men.
Yes. I love that. We love the men too. But I wanted to bring you on to have this conversation because our listeners are mostly women, women that are overworked, overwhelmed, running the business, running the household, got the kids, the dogs, school, the clients, like there's all this stuff going on. And then there's people like me saying, you've got to have a positive mindset. And they probably want to throw their phone out the window, right? So I wanted to do an episode that was really giving some tangible tools and just have a discussion on like, how can we actually implement some of these mindset things or creating a positive mindset for us when we are just like scheduled every minute of the day. So tell me, like, before we get into this whole conversation about boundaries, how did you get into this work? Like, what prompted that?
Yeah. So I, like many of us, have gone through a lot of difficulties in my past. I passed through some abuse from a caretaker at a young age and immediately turned to outside things to make myself feel better. So it started with food. And then as a teenager, it was men, and then alcohol. And at one point, I became a full-blown alcoholic and was just living life like a crazy person. And I'm so grateful. I have over 10 years sober now. However, it took a long time to get there, as you can imagine. And so, especially when you're in your 20s and everyone around you is drinking and partying, and I was traveling, and just, to me, living life to the fullest meant drinking and eating and partying crazy, where now that means so much different to me today, thankfully. So with that came abusive relationships that I had to work through, a couple of near-death experiences. And so I've really came with a lot of therapy, but worked very hard to look at obstacles to make them into opportunities, or to see what can I learn from this? Why am I making these decisions, or why is this happening to me? And what can I do to get out of it? And so it's really caused me to have a tough mindset, but mindset really is a choice. So I've chosen to let go of negativity, to let go and forgive myself for things that I've done in my past. I've chosen to make the choices to be the better person, or the best person that I can be today. And so for me, that looks like having a morning routine where I can meditate, even if it's just 5 minutes of silence. If it's while I'm walking the dog, I really just need that alone time to set myself straight, to start my day out on the right foot before I start running the business, answering the emails, and so on. And so I've just worked so hard at looking at things in a different light, in a different manner. And I think I shared this at the conference, but one of my favorite phrases is by Dr. Wayne Dyer. And it says, when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. And so two people can be looking at the same situation, and you can have completely two different perspectives of that situation. And so I think mindset just goes back to, I choose to look at the problems that come in my day as learning experiences, as opposed to letting them negatively impact me, which then spirals into negative energy and one thing after another, and creates this whole big situation. So
I don't think I told you this at the conference, but I had the most beautiful experience with Dr. Dyer. He lived on Maui. So
yes.
And my family's been on Maui for like 25 years now. Mm-hmm. And I was at a Barnes and Noble, and he walked in he walked right up to me, and he grabbed my face, and he's like, well, you just look just like my daughter. You are just such a light. And I remember, like, some people just have such a strong energy.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, his face is on that book, and here he is.
Yes.
Wow. And it was just such an experience. It was like something that I very much remember. And I was going to tell you that there, but he has so many incredible, like, Instagrammable quotes that we see now, but that was just how he lived his life, was very much in the moment, and just a great energy. Great energy.
I love listening to him. Sometimes when I'm walking, I just listen to him because it's so positive and so fulfilling. Mm-hmm. And it just also goes back to, we choose who we associate ourselves with, and that affects our mindset. And we choose what we listen to, what we intake, the news. Yes. Like, I don't really watch news. It's very minimum. I choose what I read on my phone. And I don't associate myself with people that are negative. And I know that can be difficult, especially when some of those people are family, but we can put limited contact and boundaries with people that affect our energy and choose the way we look at things.
Well, let's get into boundaries, because, when we were talking before we hit record, it was really like, I wanted to give our listeners something tangible that they could do to help them get grow in their mindset, because it is really like a muscle. It's something that you need to work on regularly. And one of the biggest things is really creating boundaries, maintaining boundaries, because if we, like one thing that I'm really bad at is my calendar. And I know that I always break the boundary and say, oh, we can squeeze someone in there. We can squeeze someone in there. And it was always stressing me out. And then I was late for different things, which stresses me out more. And so I said, look, I am giving my whole calendar to Christy. And so now Christy does it. So I don't break that boundary with myself. But it's creating boundaries, whether that's with who can call you, who you're spending your time with, what notifications are going on your phone, all of those things, so that you can maintain your state that's a positive state, right? So you're not snapping at your kids or not bringing your best version of yourself to work. So talk to me about these boundaries, how you create them, how you establish them in your life.
Yes, absolutely. So first of all, just so everyone's clear, boundaries are really what we tolerate, and they're guidelines to show people how we allow people to treat us. So when people say, this person was mean to me or over and over, or like you said, I'm constantly late for things, it's because we're tolerating it and we're allowed to. So we have to take the responsibility. And the first thing is to become aware of what boundaries need to be set. So if we can really become aware of our thoughts, that is a huge, huge thing. And when I was going through my difficult times, I really worked with my therapist I was having horrible negative self-talk and being so mean to myself. And, I know a lot of people use this example, but asking, would you talk to your child that way? Would you talk to another person who you love the way you talk to yourself? Because they really start with self-love and being able to let go of people and things that don't serve us, and then becoming aware of what those things are. And so awareness is the first step to change for anything. And I'm going to provide some boundary outlines, questions to Daniela to share with the audience so that they can kind of go through and do that first step and become aware of the things that need to change. And so the second step after becoming aware of what needs to change is asking yourself, do I have the willingness to change? Because a lot of times we're aware, like, oh, I need to stop eating so much sugar, or I need to, hand my calendar over to someone at work so that I'm not late anymore. But are we willing to make that change? A lot of times we like to not stay stuck, but it's a pattern, it's a habit. And so it's hard to break, right? So asking ourselves, can we let that go and have the willingness? So that's step 2.
That's a big one, because I think that, so often it's like the willingness is the thing, because we're comfortable. It's like we know that behavior, we know, but we don't know what happens if we, give all of ourselves to growing our business, or give all of ourselves like of what we can. Like it's almost like that fear of success, right? If you really do all of it, or if you stay in this pattern, it can be scary.
Absolutely. I know like a huge one for me is when I'm writing something or preparing a presentation or something and I get uncomfortable, I just pick up my phone and start to look at social media because that's what's comfortable and easy, right? So working with the phone in plane mode, or like you said, shutting off those notifications, or just not even working next to my phone so that I'm not even tempted to do that anymore. Right. So having the willingness to put the phone away, to put the phone somewhere else, not next to me while I'm working.
That's a good one. I'll have to add that to mine.
It's hard, but it's like nothing urgent, so urgent really, right? Until we take a break is really going to come up, hopefully.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So step 3 is to know your values. And that goes to talking about what is really important to you. What is it that you value in your life? What is it that you value in your business? So you started to value time, right? So you realized I need to hand off this calendar so that I can value my clients and my time and respect their time. So that was what was important to you. So having the willingness to change and then being clear about what's important to change, what is on the top of the list, what needs to go, and can you let it go? The 4th step is communicating boundaries clearly. And I think a lot of times we think that we are communicating clearly, whether it's to an assistant or another coworker, but we don't want to like hurt their feelings or kind of dance around the subject. And we know what our intention is, but they don't know if we don't tell them clearly. So that might look like writing out what you're going to say or practicing what you're going to say in the meeting, telling them at the beginning of the conversation, look, this is what I want to get through with you today, and then have your points listed out. So that you can get your point across clearly. And if you can preempt it with something, if it's a sensitive subject, so that they know, maybe a difficult conversation is coming, but letting them know direct and clearly what it is that you need to say. Because if you're just going to dance around the subject, then the boundary won't be set and it'll just keep happening. Right. So
I think that one is so huge because most women, not all, but most women grow up being people pleasers.
Yes.
And then when we step into the role of CEO, we want to make everybody happy. We want everybody to like us, but then we also need a job to get done, right? And we need to communicate our expectations. And that's in conflict with one another of how can we still maintain friendliness, but include directness, right? Of clear communication of what we're trying to share with our employees. It's a hard skill to learn.
Absolutely. I try to set any kind of boundary from the beginning so that if I hire a new VA, I'll let them know. And it's important to have the balance, but I'll let them know, hey, I'm very direct. I'll explain to you how I would like it. I'll bring it up if it's not right so that they know what to expect from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have someone who's not at the beginning, but you want to change or see a change in them or their work, you can still have that conversation. And at first they might be like, oh, who is this Daniela? Like, why has she changed so much? But at least you're letting her know, right, from the beginning of the conversation that some change needs to be made and that things are going to be a little bit different going forward. Mm-hmm. So, but like going back to your point, what did we learn as women? Sit down and be a quiet little girl, right? That's what most of us learned.
Little girl, raise your hand, help the teacher, like
be respectful. Yep. And it's not disrespectful, but some of us could feel that way because it's uncomfortable to be direct or say things, or who don't know what the reaction is going to be on the other end. So, we have to break out of those old patterns and skills and old habits. I
think Brene Brown did a great job when she was saying clear is kind and really kind of reframing it in that way that to actually the most kind that you can be is by sharing your true self and sharing your true desires, because it's going to just create inauthentic communication or relationships if you're not being clear about your needs or desires.
Mm-hmm. I love Brene Brown. She's the other one I walk around and listen to, her and Gabby Bernstein. But, Brene Brown also talks a lot about being vulnerable, and being vulnerable doesn't mean we have to get emotional, but being willing to share and be direct, like that is vulnerability sometimes because it's hard for us. And so not being afraid to be straight to the point for sure with our employees.
Was that all on the list, or was there
Oh, there's a little bit more.
A little bit more. Okay. Okay. Go.
Yeah. So, I guess one of the last things is being prepared for people not expecting or not respecting your boundaries and bringing up the violation when it happens. So we can set a boundary, but things don't change overnight ever, right? So we have to be prepared, especially if someone already has a relationship with you and they know you, and then you're all of a sudden acting different. They're going to question what you're doing. Like, why is she being so direct? Or, going back to that other example. But we have to bring it up. We have to call it out, or things won't change. People won't change. Our employees won't change. And again, it goes back to that people pleasing, oh, I don't really want to bring it up because it's uncomfortable. But we won't see a change if we keep our phone next to our computer with all the notifications on, right? So we have to call ourselves out and call out our employees if they don't. And there's also, I have a good friend who's a dance movement therapist, and she shared that you can actually have a mind-body connection similar to yoga. If you know you need to have a tough conversation and you do this, so I'm pushing my hands away like against a wall. You can either do it against a wall or even just do this. It'll get the mind prepared for putting up a boundary, for saying no. So it's just a tangible tool. If you know you need to go into a meeting with a tough conversation, to just get your mind and body ready for putting up that boundary. So
I love that. So for women that are, we've got the awareness kind of going down through like preparing yourself for keeping a boundary or saying no or something like that. For someone who's just starting out and saying like, how do we even get to the awareness piece? Was that therapy? Is that coaching? Is that journaling? Like, how do we get clear on what we actually need? Because so often people will say, I know what I don't want. I know what I don't like, but I don't know how I feel supported by my team, or I don't know how I feel calm at the end of a day when I have a stack of things that never ends, right? How am I supposed to keep a positive mindset with that?
Mm-hmm. So I think the first thing is making it a priority to learn. Mm-hmm. So becoming aware is just learning, right? So learning about ourselves, and everyone learns in different ways. So I would throw it back on the person and say, what's the best way that you learn? For some people, it is writing and journaling. For some people, it is getting guidance from a coach or a therapist. So for me, it started with awareness of negative thoughts and the way I was talking to myself. And so my therapist, every time I would say something, she would say, up and catch me. And then soon I started to do that. And it takes practice, but I made the commitment and the intention daily to become aware of my thoughts. So I think if whatever we focus on, our energy goes to, right? So if you truly want to change, you make the intention each day, okay, today I'm going to become aware of my thoughts, or today I'm going to set a boundary and say no. And when I'm working with clients, I have them start with little things. So say no to someone this week. If it's when someone asks you to do something and you really don't want to do it, say no. It's like those little wins, right? And then those little wins start to add up and start to become a pattern and a habit. So, and then they feel so good after, and they're like, I didn't really want to go to that mother's group, and I said no, and it's like a huge win. And so that also helps you become aware, because once you really get just a little taste of it and you really just start to do it a little bit, you realize, oh, this is aligned with who I am and what I'm doing. And this is what I need in my life. And so I'm going to keep doing it. Just like when we start exercising, right? Like you said, it's like a muscle or a brain. So once we start walking or going to the gym and we feel good, we want to do it more. Mm-hmm. So it's similar. So choose the avenue that you learn from best, and then make the commitment to work at it. And to say, today I'm going to say no to one thing, or today I'm going to write out the boundaries that I need to set in my life and start there.
I love that. Okay. So you've worked with a lot of women. Are there any bits of advice that I'm not asking about that comes up around boundaries or mindset that you feel like are really pertinent or valuable for someone in this space?
So I think that once we get through, how do we learn? What boundaries are we going to set? It's believing in ourselves. And belief comes from our thoughts, and our thoughts create our actions, right? So it's that circle. So I love to use affirmations and positive statements to help myself believe something new. And so everyone has their own that I think it's important that they're aligned with how you feel about yourself. But a positive affirmation said over and over again can truly change what you believe about yourself and the boundaries that you can set, and you as a business owner. And so they're usually I am statements that help you feel uplifted and better about yourself. So I am a powerful business owner. I am saying no to things that no longer serve me. And I usually have my clients write them out and sometimes even record their own, and they listen to them as they're walking or as they're driving, so that you start to hear and believe these things about yourself. So they should be a little far-fetched, like a little bit out of your comfort zone, but they should be really related and specific to what you want to work on and go through at the time.
Yeah, I have my affirmations right here, and they are. I found that like saying them aloud feels more uncomfortable for me than just reading them. So I always try and push myself to actually say them aloud, because I just feel a little bit weird standing in my office. Like, I am healthy, wealthy, and happy, Yeah. But it is something that when you say it aloud, there's like more energy given to that thing, or it just feels more than like the thoughts that are swirling around in your head.
Absolutely. And then one other thing is, when we're going through change or we're trying to set a new boundary and it's uncomfortable, our go-to is fear, right? So it's face everything and run, or face everything and rise, or forget everything and run. And so one other tool that we could use is to have an accountability partner, maybe someone who's going through similar situations, or maybe both of you want to set boundaries where you meet once a week or even once a month, and you create that plan together. Like, this is how I'm going to do it in my business. Or you could do it with a coach, but having that person to keep you accountable and help you create an action plan to set those boundaries is also a great way to start.
Yeah, so important. Very good. Well, you're going to give us a PDF.
Yes.
Okay. Super excited about that. So everybody make sure that you download that. Boundaries they're just vital to happiness in your personal life, in your professional life, in being able to accomplish the goals that you want to set for yourself. And really, like, I see this as the gate to when people are saying, have the morning routine, do the meditation, do the affirmations. And if you're one of those people that are like, I literally can't even go pee by myself because you have little kids or whatever it is, how am I supposed to read a book? How am I supposed to, do my affirmations or do my meditations or whatever it is you have to make the time. You have to make yourself a priority. And it all comes down to establishing these boundaries. And that might mean that you wake up at 5. And it might mean that you hire a babysitter. It might mean, there's all these things that we figure out how to make it happen. But I guarantee you, the thing I know more than anything is that if you make yourself a priority and you pour love into yourself, you will be a better business owner. You will be a better parent. You will be a better friend, spouse, whatever that title is that you're trying to do. because you have to be full yourself to be able to give in those different areas. So it's such a vital thing to be able to know how to do or learn how to do. And, you know, Christine, I think you probably would agree, but like, it's not like we just get this perfect and never break our boundaries again, right? Like,
exactly.
I mean, it's just a every day, are we doing the best that we can? And if you slip up, then it's just like, oh, whoops. Okay, well, let's get back on the train, right?
Yeah.
And let's continue to go. I'm human. I'm not going to just like, you know, everything's out the window because I had one time that I broke a boundary or messed up.
Absolutely. You know, when I was getting sober, they teach us one day at a time and sometimes 1 minute at a time. And so it's the same thing in our businesses and with boundaries. Sometimes the day isn't going great, but we still can choose to stay positive and look for the lesson and the good in what we do have. And so breaking it down sometimes to the minute is necessary, but, and like you said, we can start again tomorrow.
I love that. Perfect. Well, thank you so much. This is such a valuable conversation. I hope every single person listening says no this week to something.
Yes.
Set a boundary for yourself.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you. And if you guys want to keep this conversation going, make sure you head on over to the Spa Marketing Made Easy Facebook group, and we'll catch you on the next episode.